there's actually a workshop down here. There's no sign for it. They have to study for 2 years to be able to make them. And so we got to see the process. I got to help with the process of making a mosaic. They're doing amazing things here. Oh, thank God this is not a lost art. Today we're in Madaba, which is really well known for a lot of different mosaics and Roman era archaeology. And one particular mosaic which we're going to show you, got to stick around to the end, that's super, super important. And I'm super excited about that. But let's go check out the archaeological complex first. I love that they actually built a building around this to preserve the ruins. You know, when we were in Greece, they built like a tent, but this is even more security. I think it's really cool. One of the things that I really loved about this particular site was that they had a building and they unearthed the building, and instead of moving all of the mosaics to a museum, they kind of just built another building around the building and co-located a museum. It was really cool. The mosaics were really the highlight. There's some of them with these great intricate patterns and the rings going in and out of each other that you don't see everywhere. And then some of them have really cool stories.
This mosaic behind me is absolutely beautiful. One thing that I can see clearly are these three women here. These are actually the goddesses of Tai Chi. And above them are the names of Rome, Gregoria, and Madaba, which were three very important cities for this time.
Right now we're in a Byzantine house, and it is called the Hippolytus House, and it's named after the mosaic here in the middle. And it's a story by Euripides. As the story goes, Theseus is the king of Athens, and he's exiled for a year for a crime he committed. And so Hippolytus is his illegitimate son who had sworn chastity, and he reveres Artemis instead of Aphrodite, the goddess of love. And so for revenge, Aphrodite has his stepmother Phaedra fall in love with Hippolytus. An elaborate drama unfolds with a love triangle, and it really kind of is a big punishment, I would say, for probably everybody involved, for the son to fall in love with his stepmother. And in the end, Phaedra ends up killing herself, and then there's this big animosity between the father and son, and eventually Artemis has to step in and kind of bring peace. And right afterwards, his son, Hippolytus, dies. And that's what we're seeing in the middle here.
One of the cool things about this site is it's right in the middle of the modern city. So they preserve what they call the Damascus Road, which is the old Roman road, in the city. You have all these modern buildings on each side, and it's just a really cool experience that you don't get in a lot of sites.
They even out here in the park that's just outside of the archaeological area, they have some great mosaics here. And this one has, it looks like some sheep. But I'd love to be here one day when it was wet, a little bit of rain, and it really brings out the colors here, and it would really even sparkle even better. This is a gorgeous mosaic, especially for just being out here. I wish it wasn't being walked on. We walked around it, and probably most people do. And if you come, make sure you walk around the mosaics, because as your feet go along this edge here, you could easily kick that one out, and if it just gets kicked out and lost, then they're losing part of this. So I wish it was a little bit more protected, but I was glad I got to come in and kind of touch it and feel it, and they do really good mosaics here.
There's an outside chance that that mosaic wasn't the original mosaic that was there, because they recreate a lot of the mosaics in the area. Like, they have a school that teaches you how to do those mosaics. and we actually found where that was, which was pretty awesome.
Yeah, I do think that that one was real. There were a few pieces that were missing that were a little disadvantageous, let's say, and that they probably could have filled in, but we don't know. There was no interpretive signs. So one of the things I heard about here was that this is one of the best places to ever get mosaics. And that's what they're doing right now, is they're making mosaics. So they're trimming all the pieces of stone, and then they make these beautiful mosaics. And I believe you can buy in different parts of the city. I don't know if you can buy them here or not, but it's quite the art. I think that's a miniature of what we're going to see later on. They also have like a more modern one with more colors here. I like the classic a little bit better than. Is it okay if we film what we're doing somewhere? If you come out of the archaeological site kind of through the back, you're going to see the mosaics that we just showed, but there's actually a workshop down here. There's no sign for it. They have to study for 2 years to be able to make them. And so we got to see the process. I got to help with the process of making a mosaic of a replica of the map that we're about to go see. And it's going to go into one of the government ministries. But you also can buy one to bring home. And so I got the Tree of Life, which is universal to pretty much every Abrahamic religion. And it is a symbol of the Tree of Life, if you know what that is in the Bible, which is really cool. So I'm going to pack this in my backpack and take it home as a nice memento, and I got to buy it from the place where they're making it, which is super exciting. They're doing amazing things here. Oh, thank God this is not a lost art.
And that mosaic that we've been hinting at is just a couple of minutes away around the corner. It's at St. George's Church, and it's a great excuse to maybe do a little bit of shopping.
So to get to the St. George Church, you're going to come up from the archaeological complex, and you're going to take a right, and then you're going to see a closed off road with shopping on both sides. And up here is where we're going to get to St. George, and then you can take another turn and get to the museum. But if you ask directions here, the Jordanian people are so nice, and they will do everything that they can to get you to the right place.
This is the Church of St. George. This is where that beautiful mosaic is that we've been hinting at and kind of teasing the whole time. So let's go check it out for ourselves.
Excuse me, by ticket, please.
We have Jordan Pass.
It's not included here. It's a private place.
We just found out that this church is actually not included with the Jordan Pass, so you will have to buy a ticket. Stand by and I will let you know how much it costs. Considering this is one of the most important mosaics in the world, it is a steal. It's only 1 JD per person, which comes out to $280 total for 2 people. I mean, can't ask for a better deal. Really excited to go check it out.
It's quite crowded in here because of the popularity of this thing, so you'll have to bear with me for a few moments while I try to get us a view. So you're looking at this from the Israel side here, and a large circle in the center here, that is Jerusalem. And then you've got the Dead Sea here, River Jordan, and then they come over into the Jordan area. And this, what we've been foreshadowing the whole time, this is one of the oldest maps in the world, and definitely the oldest and best preserved mosaic map ever. This is from the Byzantine era. I think my favorite part is the boat in the center of the Dead Sea. That's just totally ridiculous. And I'm going to try to get you a better view of all of this, maybe from the other side with better lighting. So you're following the River Jordan here, and then you're coming up to the Dead Sea. And this would have continued for the whole entire floor here, but unfortunately some of the portions were lost and weren't able to be reconstructed. We're essentially right now. We're like right here. So it doesn't look like much, if any of Madaba and that kind of thing. Amman would be up here. So they've just preserved the central area essentially and continue on over here. It's a little bit larger scale than the one that we saw the ladies making. So that wasn't exactly to scale, but they were making this in 4 parts. So even though it was shrunk down a little bit, it still is going to make a big splash in that. And if I had a lot of money, I'd be making one and sending it home too. It would look really, really good on my back porch.
Okay, so maybe it's just a little bit bigger than our back porch. Because if you go around the corner, you can look over some benches on the other side of the pillar and you'll see a lot more of that map. So definitely make sure not to miss that.
I think that was definitely worth the 1JD entrance. Saw a lot of really cool mosaics. Most of them were newer reproductions, but those ones, and the detail and the fact that they use the same colors as they would have a long time ago, it's really amazing, and I'm so glad that they still teach that in school and try to keep that dying art alive.
That's commendable, and I wish more people would do it because there's so many dying arts and dying languages and all these things. And there's something to be said about the progression of society to being all one and feeling like we're all one. But it's nice when we can keep some of what makes us different and special and just interweave it into the culture of the world. So this is a great stop. Not a lot of people stop in the archaeological section, but a ton of people drop by for here. I guess there's a bunch of group tours that this is along the way. So don't expect to be by yourself here unless you get here right when it opens at 9 o'clock.
Now we're gonna go check out the shuk and maybe we'll buy a couple of things.
One thing I like to do when I go somewhere is not blend in like I want to look like I'm one of them, but maybe not look like I'm an American. And so a lot of times we'll buy local clothing and I'll work it into my wardrobe. I haven't quite figured out how to work this one in here in Florida, but one of the things that you're definitely going to get in Jordan, because everybody's going to try to sell you one until you have one, is a Shemagh or hattah or kaffiyeh or whatever you want to call it. They call it Shemagh in this region, and it's very complicated. You can tie it like 12 different ways, but the most traditional way was something that I had to have them show me when I bought this one. So shmarks or hadlas, these are the local head wraps, and they're beautiful. And we originally, as you saw in Jerash last week, somebody just came up and put one on our head, and we ended up buying probably the lowest quality. So we knew we wanted to come and shop for some other ones. Now, a little pointer here. Okay, this is a polyester one, but it's a different color and it's a much better weave than the one we had. So I got this for 5 dinar, and they have a rope that you can get for 2 dinar, and that means that you're a man. It also seems like it's easier to tuck it around with these. It might be a little bit larger than the one that we got. And then you can always do the cotton one. And the cotton one, this is just, the feeling of this one is absolutely magical. This is what you see the royal family wear, and a lot of the wealthier people wear these, and you can really feel the difference. They are 50 dinar, which is almost $70, and I didn't keep that in the budget, so I'm not going to be doing one, but he's going to show us how to wrap this, because there's an art to this. And so I'm always like having Brendan watch it so he can help me, but I'm going to have them do this, and we'll have it on video, and then you'll know how to do your head. All right?
So the first step, we make it like that triangle. Like this. This side behind the head, like this. We make it the same level here. Take this side like this and roll it. And push my both finger like this. This side here.
Oh, that's nice and tight.
and put it here. So, in Wadi Rum, in the desert, we put it in the noise because of the sand. Or you can just leave it like this, walk the street, or you can also roll this side. And make it like this.
And I think it makes you look very handsome. It's a beautiful look, it's a traditional look,
And
very respectful.
with the black ring,
The black ring means that you're a man, and I didn't know that the first time, or I would have gotten it and worn it all through Jerash.
After we get done with our shopping in Madaba, we walked around a little bit until we found this restaurant. It's called Zaman, and they have a lot of traditional dishes and some Palestinian dishes and some Lebanese dishes.
And one of the things that we traditionally do is try to avoid the more like crowded commercial areas for food, because you usually can get something more authentic. But the smell and the look of this place, plus it had a pretty good TripAdvisor rating, convinced us to break that rule just this time. And of course, being us, we had to have a nice beer, and then we ordered their hummus with some falafel, and it comes with pita. Everything in Jordan comes with pita. But the thing that was like the highlight for me was this right here. This is sumac, and it's got this like citrusy flavor, and they put it on their hummus with like really fresh olive oil. And so we had to like go spend like $3 on like a ton of this stuff and bring it home. And I put it on hummus every time I have hummus now, a nice extra virgin olive oil.
And they don't just put it on hummus. We also had this awesome like sandwich thing with the caramelized onions and stuff, and that was covered in sumac as well. And then I think the last thing that we ate as far as entree was the best, that like beefy, oniony, tomatoey.
All right, I'm gonna
stew.
cut him off for a second because we got a whole food video to go.
Sorry,
over
I've gone a
this
little
one.
overboard.
But the food there was absolutely delicious. I would recommend this place wholeheartedly to anybody else who's going by here. And speaking of recommending things, I definitely recommend going here. We learned so much about putting on headwear, and we ate a great meal, and all the Roman mosaics really stole the show.
Right, yeah, I was expecting to basically just have that map as like the highlight of the place, but being able to go to the workshop and see how it's made was also really amazing. It's just such a great cultural and historical experience, and if you guys are in Jordan, you need to check that out. And I hope you guys find yourself in Jordan soon. And as always, find yourself on the journey.